This is part 2 of the Roy and Laura Diteman wedding story. And who are you holding there, Mom?
I am holding this man that I adore that came to get me at the airport. Now, who wouldn't go all the way for this guy? That's what I say.
Before. After.
That was great.
So we're going back to the story, and Mom has finally gotten out of Cleveland. And where did you guys go after you flew in, Dad?
You tell that story.
After we flew in, we went to Berkeley's home. They lived in Fairfax, Virginia area. They were just out in Vienna, Virginia. They were just a few miles out of Washington, D.C., close to the airport. And they had a nice little 3-bedroom home there, and they gave us an upstairs room, and that's where she stayed until we got married a month later when she turned 17.
Yeah. So where did you go in the meantime, Dad?
I went back to the base, which was 200 miles away in Norfolk, Virginia. We had a naval base there that I was first at, and then later over in Europe. But then we came back from the Mediterranean and went right back there and flew home and reconnected with your mother. And that one thing led to the other until my brother got married, and so we decided that we better get married too. So
Was that Uncle Kurt?
Yeah, Uncle Curtis.
Yeah.
So he was 2 years younger than me.
So you weren't going to be outdone. Sounds like.
Well, he did outdo me, but
yeah,
because it was 2 years later that we got married after he did. So
okay.
Yeah.
So, Mom, you were in a new place. How was it being at the Berkeleys?
Awesome. They took me in, and they had about 20 some acres of ground. Her parents, Virgie's parents.
Nice little farm.
And it was a lovely farm. And they had horses and different things, and it was just the green hills of Virginia are absolutely amazing. I'd never seen anything so beautiful. And it had such a, I don't know how to explain it, but I felt at home. I felt totally at home there. All the family lived right in that, say probably maybe a 2-block area. You know what I mean? They had maybe small pieces of land there on the acreage, and they had their houses there. And so they just took me in, and I was just family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never been in the South before, and I hadn't traveled hardly at all since I was a very little girl, I think, when we left Arkansas. But anyway, so this was quite an adventure, and they all were planning my wedding. And Virgie's mother was absolutely like a mother to me. She just took me under her wings, and she baked the beautiful cake and got all ready and planned this wedding with Virgie and Peggy and the Cabnesses, which were that was not Edwin Berkeley, but Virginia Berkeley's sister, Peggy.
How did you know them, Dad?
I knew him because they were in Spokane, and I helped them find an apartment, and he was a good friend of mine. He was stationed over here in the Air Force at Fairchild, and so I got to know him quite well in the early 50s. And so when he brought Virgie out, I helped him find a home and places like that. We went quite a few little places together, but mostly it was just around the west end of Spokane, and got to know him quite well, and had no reason to believe that we'd ever see him again when he left. But I found out they were close to where the base was, within 200 miles, so started visiting back and forth with them. And then I had to go overseas. After I got back from overseas, we got together again, and when I flew home and and she came back out there in the plane. Why we decided that would be a good place for her to stay until we got married. So that's the way it worked. And they stood up for us, and we found a little preacher to take care of the ceremony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you got married right out at their place?
No, we were married in right out of Washington D.C. in
Arlington.
Arlington,
Yeah.
Virginia,
Okay.
which is just a suburb. And it was a regular minister. He was just probably about, I'd say, 60 years old or so. Just a sweet gentleman, just very special. And Edwin and Virgie and Kenny and Peggy Cadmus stood up with us. But this is the most wonderful part here. Uh, Virgie and Peggy took me shopping, and they bought. I got to pick out whatever dress I wanted, and it was beautiful white. I'd never had a dress like that in my life. And then the hat. They helped me get the hat, and beautiful pair of shoes, white heels, and I was just couldn't believe this. They were doing all this for me, and so anyway, where was I at here?
They went and bought you the dress.
Yeah.
You get ready to get married.
I know I was. Is that what I was
The
doing?
main thing. The main thing you flew back there for.
Anyway, that was the main thing, actually. Anyway, so I had all the clothes, even down to whatever, and they bought me a purse, a beautiful white purse. And I'd never had a purse like that. It was just like I don't know. So anyway, then all the family just celebrated with us prior to the wedding. It was kind of like an engagement type get together for us. And the gals gave me a beautiful shower, and the people that I'd never met before were there. And this was so cute. They took canned food, and they took all the labels off. And they gave me that so that when I first started to cook, I wouldn't know what I was getting. Dad and I were. So I thought that was kind of clever. And so the bridal shower was beautiful. It was just kind of outdoors. They had it set up with white tablecloth and all of this. And then on our wedding day, it was a 3-tiered cake that their mother had made for me. And it was sitting outside on the table. And then they had the drinks there. And I can remember how I felt was, I'm away from my mom and dad and all my family, which was really hard for me. But these people took me in, and they were so special people that I felt like at home right away.
Did you expect that would happen, Dad?
Oh, I knew
Like
they'd
that?
be very hospitable because most of the Southerners that I ever met were that way, from Louisiana all the way up to the Virginia and North Carolina area. They're just some wonderful people. Then, just like every other part of the country, but these people were special because they had that down home values. There's some small farmettes around there then. Now it's subdivisions. It's nothing the same now. It's all changed.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was kind of like finding family where you didn't expect it.
Plus,
but
they were
you
almost
knew.
like family to me anyway, because I'd known them so well and we'd done so many things together out here. And when they went back and I saw them take off in their old 48 Buick, I thought, that's the last I'll see of them. Needless to say, saw them several times for over a period of 20, 30 years. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So then you had the ceremony.
Yes.
So you kind of had the people all rally around you and get you dressed and ready to go like a little princess.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was like I was home, and I was part of their family. And that's just the way I felt the moment I got there. It was just wonderful.
So I'm going to move to some of their pictures. You can keep talking.
Okay. So anyway, honey, why don't you have something to say here?
This is
anyway.
This is the two kids. They're so cute, cheek to cheek. It's my favorite picture. So where were you at this time? Did you get married in a little church or?
We got married in the preacher's house. It was a little
Yeah, it was
two-bedroom
it was
house
his
about
house.
about a mile from the courthouse in Arlington, Virginia, which is Arlington is where they have the National Military Cemetery and also the Pentagon and many other buildings now that have to do with government. And it's just across the Potomac River from Washington, D.C. and the Capitol. So you can see the Capitol from parts of the town.
So what did you do after your wedding?
After our wedding, I want you
Kevin.
to tell that. And that's a good story.
Well, first place we had to borrow a car. So Eddie Berkeley graciously always was there for me with the car. So he said, "You take my little Dodge here," which was an older Dodge car, and we took it to the caverns of Luray. But on the way, we stopped in Washington County, which was probably about 40 miles out of Washington D.C. area, and we stayed the night there. And then the next day, we went to the caverns of Luray, and I'd been in caverns like Lewis and Clark, but we had never been in caverns as colorful as those were. And we both really liked it. We said we're going to go back, which we never did. So, but it's a beautiful place. It's right in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia there, northern Virginia.
Beautiful place.
And the towns are still picture postcard around there, even today. It's the little town of Washington that we stayed in was really unique. It was just built on the hillside. It probably was an old mining town or something, and just real classy. And little motels in those days were not much more than what a B&B would be now. So they were a little more homey.
Yeah.
You feel at home with the people there. So it's a wonderful place to spend some time, but unfortunately, when you're in the military, you go where the military wants you to go. So they said, come south as soon as you get married and get settled. Bring her down here, and you can live here in this this hot town of Norfolk, Virginia.
So if we can summarize this part, you had a huge adventure that would be one in many, where you just took off in a leap of faith and you discovered that there were people in a land that you never even knew that would take care of you and become your family.
Yes.
Basically. Even if it wasn't forever, there was this very special connection that would last a lifetime
Well,
for
they
you.
volunteered.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did volunteer. They volunteered and they volunteered many times after that. When I had to go to my duty down south, that they volunteered and took her to the amusement parks and to the saltwater beaches and places like that. So she got to do really more than I did there around the Washington D.C. area.
So how many years has it been now?
63.
Yeah. 63 years. What a blessing.
Yes, it is a blessing.
And when I took her to see the Capitol the first time, she saw the Capitol of the United States. We were standing on the steps of the Capitol, and she said, well, "This is not like Spokane."
I did. I was just like.
So yeah,
I've never
still a kid and amazed.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Well, may that amazement continue.